Welcome to the Spunky Spirit Podcast. I'm your host, psychic medium Carrie Muggs. This is where we learn all things spirit, everything from spiritual gifts, awakenings, ghosts, aliens, and starseeds. Nothing is untouchable, but always fun and spunky. I am honored to be on this spiritual journey with you, so make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Hello, and welcome to this week's podcast on Spunky Spirit. I'm Carrie Muggs, and each week we talk about different things that are going on around the world. Or pretty much just spiritual things that can affect the world. So today's been kind of a weird day for me. Now, things coming up. I kind of want to go through things coming up. First of all, if you could subscribe to this channel or leave reviews wherever you're listening to it, that would be awesome. I'm trying to put myself out there more so I can start teaching more, just because I'm so booked up in readings and I want to be able to teach more classes or have online things for people, and I want my reach for that to be more. So if you could do that for me, that would be great. And also too, I have a mediumship course in my wellness center on March 26th coming up at 1 o'clock. It's in Idaho Falls, and there's only 2 spots left. So if you haven't gotten your spot for that, go ahead and go to my website at www.carriemuggs.com, and I will leave that in the links. And also, I am now on Patreon, which is going to connect to the podcast a lot. So eventually, I'm going to start having what do you call them? I always lose my train of thought. Guests on the podcast. And I'm going to try and keep my podcast to at least a half hour. And then if there's other material on the podcast or other things going on behind the scenes, I will put them on Patreon. So I am now on Patreon. You can just you can download the Patreon app. There's 3 different tiers that you can go to, and I am under Carrie Muggs. So there's a $5 tier, a $10 tier, and an $18 tier. And there's going to be more added, not more tiers, but more added to the tiers. Right now, I'm just kind of starting. So this is especially good for people that were in my membership that I had to kind of stop for a little bit and go to Patreon. Patreon just makes it so much easier to run this membership for the Spunky Tribe. So if you're interested, go there. Now, we are going to talk today about stepping into your own personal power. Now, this is a lot. The reason why I'm talking about this today, I mean, I know it has no spiritual background or no, but it kind of does. Because your guides are constantly with you, trying to tell you that you are enough. Your ancestors are constantly with you, trying to tell you that you are enough. And especially now, with everything that's going on in the world the last couple of years, there's a lot of anxiety out there and a lot of stress and a lot of being anxious. And it's becoming, and now that things are starting to level out, or the collective starting to level out, it's becoming a little more anxious. There's a lot of anxiety out there. And so I just kind of want to remind you spiritually, you have so much power. This is why I don't really worry about, a lot of mediums will say they don't want to talk about evil things or scary things because they don't want to put fear out there. I don't really worry about that. I mean, I do worry about that. I don't want to instigate fear, but at the same time, I know how powerful you are, and I know that we are so powerful against these other frequencies or these things that it's so, it's almost like a no-brainer. But at the same time, when you're faced up against these obstacles and you're faced up against this stuff, it's hard and your anxiety kicks in and you do get anxious. And I'm going to give you an example. A lot of my mentors would say you got to stay professional, but I really, really believe in honesty, and I really believe in true transparency. And as a medium, it's hard. Every reading that I go into, I want it to be the best. I want it to be the best that I can be, and I want to be good enough. And so there's times when I just don't feel like some of my readings, there's been a couple, and I can probably count them on one hand, that I didn't feel like they were the best. I didn't connect to spirit very well, or I didn't connect very well. Now, there's only been a few like this, but I just want you I'm telling you this because being a medium or being in your psychic gifts or being in your gifts is just like going to a job every day or just having a normal life every day. There are going to be bad days. There are going to be hard days. And this is when you need to step up and step into your power and know that you are enough and you are amazing. And I don't really know if I'm telling you this because you need it or I need it. Just, yeah, because I always want to excel. I always want to grow and I always want to do, like one of my goals is to be able to do readings without scribbling all the time because I go through so many pens and I feel like I'm just transferring energy. I wish that I could just connect to spirit and not have to do that, or maybe that helps me connect, and sometimes I think, well, why change something that's not broken? But here's what I want to tell you. You have everything you need inside you, even on the bad days. And so I don't want you to get in your head. Sometimes things are going to go wrong. Sometimes things aren't going to always go the way they seem. And we get into our head and we think that it's not going to be good enough or it's not, or we're not good enough. And so recently I just did have a reading that I was having a struggle. Nothing was resonating with my client. And I've only had like 3 of these readings the whole time that I've ever done readings. And they frustrate me. And what happens is when a medium can't connect very well or is constantly getting no, I don't know what that means. It kind of makes them, for me anyways, it makes me a little nervous. And then I start to lose connection, which is just kind of snowballing in effect. That's why I always say up front, if the reading doesn't resonate with you, I will give you your money back just because I know that not every reading is going to be perfect. And if there's ever a psychic medium out there that tells you they are 100% accurate all the time, run away. Go to a different medium because there's even the best psychic mediums, they're always, Tony Stockton, all of them always have said there's some readings that are just hard. Like some readings just flow and you're spot on, and some readings it's like pulling teeth to get information from the spirit. And it could be the spirit's personality, and it could be that the sitter doesn't understand what's coming through. So, and I know this is going back to me, but what about you? Like, what's going on in your life? What are you doing that it's just not, it doesn't seem to flow right now, or things just seem kind of hard? And this is where I want you to kind of dig deep and realize that, this is just a one-time thing. It's just like if your car had a flat tire, you wouldn't trade in your car, right? It's not a bad day or it's not a bad life. It's just a bad day. But you can get into your head and you can start thinking, okay, I'm not good enough. I need to start doing something else. There's lots of times when I've looked and said, okay, I just want to get a 9 to 5 and go home and not think about things at the end of the day. But spirit kind of won't let me do that. So I just know that if I'm having days like this, I know you are. And I know that you sometimes want to step into your gifts and want to step into your power, and it just seems like it's been hard, especially lately. But I do feel like there's a break. I do feel like there is some break coming, and it is going to get a little easier, and it is going to get a little more relief, and we can take a break, or we can take a breath, So this is just your wake-up call to say that you can step into your power. You are enough and you are good enough. So I'm going to tell you a story that I once read in a book, and I'm probably going to demolish it because you know me, I read it and then the details, I'm all over the place. So, but there was this group of crows, and they were making fun of this hawk. This hawk kept bugging him, this hawk. And if you know any history about hawks and crows, they don't really get along that well. Crows will sometimes attack hawks because hawks will eat live things, and crows will actually kind of kill something, and hawks can come in and take it. So crows and hawks don't get along. And there was this group of crows, and this hawk kept coming in. So they started to tell this hawk constantly, you need more things. How they are trying to set false beliefs into this hawk. So a couple of crows went up to him and said, here's some glasses for you. This is going to help you be able to see farther than you've ever seen before. These glasses are going to help you to be able to see things prey that you've never been able to see before, farther and closer, and you're going to be able to swoop down and get this prey. And the hawk started to believe him. So the hawk took the glasses, and not realizing that it kind of halted his seeing. Hawks have amazing eyesight. Hawks don't need glasses. Hawks already have everything that they need inside. So this started working, and then the crows told the hawk, here's a map for you. This is a map that you need to take because this map will give you directions. It's kind of like a GPS system. It'll tell you where you need to go to find the most prey. And this map will tell you where most of the prey is at. And so you have these map and this glasses, and you're going to be awesome. You're going to be able to find more prey. You're going to be able to see it better. This map and these glasses are going to help you a ton. So the hawk started to believe that he needed this map and these glasses. And in essence, in reality, the hawk had everything he needed inside of him already. He already had a great GPS system, and he already had great eyesight. He had everything that he already needed, but he started to believe these crows. He started to believe that he needed these other things besides himself to be better, to do better. And so he started to depend on these things. And there was this owl, a very wise owl, and he kind of started seeing what was happening. And he went to the crows and he said, I'm going to tell the hawk what you're doing because he doesn't need those things. He already has all of his gifts. He was born with these things. He was born with everything he already needed. And the crows were like, well, you can tell him, but he's not going to believe you. And the owl was like, okay. And he's like, that's absurd. So he went to the hawk and he started telling the hawk, you don't need these things. You already had great eyesight. You could already see mice and rodents from far, far away. You already knew where to go. You already knew all this stuff. You don't need the map and you don't need the glasses. And just like the crow said, the hawk didn't believe him. The hawk he was being told so many times by the crows that he needed these other things, these glasses and this map, that he kind of started laughing at the owl. And the owl was just trying to help him. The owl was just trying to say, you don't need these things, but he wouldn't believe the owl. Now, I kind of think a lot like this is us. This is us. This is like the crows are maybe lower frequencies or false beliefs or people that have been around us that tell us that we need to have these things or tell us that it needs to be a certain way. Even our parents, because they were brought to think that we needed this map and we needed these glasses, and so they thought too that we needed this stuff. People that love us because they don't know any better, they tell us that we need these things, these other things. And in reality, our owls, which I consider our guides and our ancestors, are trying to tell us to dig deep and to figure out, to know that we already have everything we need inside of us. Now, going for outside approval, I mean, sometimes you can get people's opinions, and sometimes you can ask people what they think. But honestly, at the end of the day, you already have everything you need, and you already know what's going to work for you. So try not to be like this hawk. Try and listen to your guides. Try and listen to your spiritual compass, your spiritual map, your spiritual glasses. You don't need what society or what culture is telling you need to be like. And it's kind of like some things are already set in stone. Like, yeah, you probably do need to go to college to get a medical degree to learn. But also, too, when you get that degree and you learn those things, you also want to dig deep and trust your gut instincts, especially when you're dealing with patients and clients and other people. You want to trust your gut. So if you have family telling you that you need to be this way or things need to be this way, but your gut is telling you something different or your instincts are telling you something different, then you need to go in that direction. You need to follow your gut. And sometimes we think that, what if it leads us wrong or what if it leads us astray? I guarantee you, it may feel sometimes like, okay, I went in the wrong direction, but you didn't. You had to learn that. You had to learn that that wasn't the right direction. Sometimes we have to go into figure out what we don't want to figure out what we do want. I do know there was a story that was told. I think it was actually in a conference of some sort, and there was a fork in the road. These two, a dad and a son, were driving down the street, driving down the road, and there was a fork in the road, and they didn't know which one to take. And so they asked their guides, or they asked Spirit, or they prayed about it, and they went and they felt like they were supposed to go down the left side of the road. So they went to the left side of the road, and they got down there, and about a half a mile down, the road was blocked and they couldn't get through. And the younger boy said, okay, if we asked our spirit guides and we asked universe or God to go down this direction, why did we go down why is it blocked off? Why did we go down the wrong way? And the father was kind of also, wondering why, but at the same time, he was very wise. And he said, sometimes, son, you have to go down the wrong way and you have to go the wrong direction to get to where you need to go, because you need to know that that wasn't the right way. Because if we were on the other road, we would have thought, well, what if we're on the whole time we were on the right side or the right side of the fork? We would be thinking, is this the right way? Is this the right way? And now we know because we took the left side. That's not the side we need to go on. So now we know without a shadow of a doubt that it's the right side. And so sometimes we do need to go down the right direction. And sometimes we do need a hard day at work, or that hard reading to put things in perspective and to let us know that sometimes we do need to. Now I could look at that hard reading and say, oh my gosh, it was all, the sitter's fault, blah, 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 blah. But it's not. I got to own this. I got to own that, yeah, maybe a lot of stuff didn't resonate with her, and maybe she didn't remember a lot of stuff, but maybe my connection just wasn't great. And maybe I need to tune, maybe I need to fine tune some of the stuff that I do, or maybe I need to meditate more, or maybe I need to work on my connection more, because I've been so, busy working on the outside of my business that I kind of maybe have let my meditations go, or I haven't been into that. So instead of blaming or saying it's that other person's fault, I need to totally look into me and say, okay, what can I do and to make this better? And I don't need a pair of glasses to make it better. I don't need a map to make it better. I need to dig deep and figure out what the heck's going on with me. Was I stressed out? And the thing that was so crazy is I did a reading right after it, and that reading was spot on. That reading was fine. And I did a reading right before it, and that reading was fine. So there was something about that specific reading that just wasn't quite right. And I'm not going to try, I tell myself, I left thinking, everybody has a bad day. Every medium has, and I'm not saying it was completely bad. I did get some stuff spot on, but there was some stuff that I was struggling to pick up. So, and I told myself, I'm not going to worry about this. This is fine. Everybody has a hard reading. But you know what? I went home and I was in my head all night about it. I woke up, I was in my head all morning about it. So I'm just saying, so this is why I'm saying this podcast is probably more for me than it was for you, but somewhere out there, one of you guys, one of my listeners is going through this, and it's just one bad day, or it's just one flat tire. It's not, check yourself, do a deep meditation, connect to spirit, and figure out, step into your power. You are so powerful. Your gifts are so amazing. And so step into that and know that this was just something that happened, and move past it and move forward. And you've got this. You've got this. Your guides are with you. You don't need anything. Like, I could be like, oh, I need another class, and which I probably could. I could probably use another class, but at the same time, I could do another class, but at the same time, I want to look at me, and I want to dig deep with me, and I want to figure out what's going on with me. Is there something going on inside of me that I need to work on, or that I need to fix before I go and continue this? Hopefully that makes sense. But I just want you to know, spiritually, you have everything that you already need that is inside of you. And so I also too want you to know that sometimes when you're feeling like this, you can feel like you can't hear spirit very well, or you're out of tune, or that things aren't going quite right. And it could be that you're out of tune, and maybe you do need to step into some sort of, maybe I have been working so hard. Like a lot of you know that I've been working on a lot of things. And so maybe I have been working so hard outside of the readings that I need to take a break, or I need to reset, or I need to take a mini vacation. And maybe you do too. Maybe you need to take a break or go on a mini vacation and figure out, where you step into. So I did a thing this morning that really helped too. In the mornings, every morning I journal. And at the top of the paper, I write, I deserve. And I write all the things that I want to accomplish. I deserve this. I deserve this. I deserve this. And it helps me remember what my goals are each day. And it helps me remember what my long-term goals are. But today I did something different, and it almost brought me to tears. And I want you to try it. So instead of writing I deserve, I wrote I am. And I wrote all my goals in an I am stance. I am healthy. I am happy. I am an amazing psychic medium. I am confident. I am creating this. I am creating that. I am buying this. So, and I cannot even tell you the shift. Instead of I deserve, I did I am. And the shift was, it was almost like I already owned it. It wasn't like I deserve. I realized kind of put me in, yes, I deserve it. I deserve this, I deserve, but it put me in a position where I was in a mindset that I haven't had it yet, or I hadn't accomplished it yet. And it was something that it was coming. But today, when I did the I am, it put me in a position that it's already mine. I don't need the glasses. I don't need the map. It's already mine. So I already have the great eyesight. I already have the compass that I need. My guides, the owls, are watching over me, and they're focusing me in the right direction. So I want you to practice this today. Those of you that are all in listening or listening to this, I want you to sit down every morning, try every morning, and I want you to write, I am. I am beautiful. I am creating an amazing business. I am creating a book that lots of people are going to read. I am creating a great Instagram account. I want you to try this. It is such a game changer. It just kind of changes your shift in things. So I just really mostly want you to know that a lot of times we doubt ourselves, and a lot of times we second guess ourselves. And this is normal. It's so normal. But what happens is we get into our heads and we constantly play it again and play it again and play it again. And it causes us anxiety, or it causes us to be anxious. Even though I did a reading right after that, I'm anxious, a little bit anxious for my readings today. And so I just want you to know this is normal. But what we need to do is, if this is causing you to do this, I want you to do the I am thing. Read 10 pages of a book that lifts you up, or a self-help book that helps you, a spiritual book that helps you step into your power. The thing, I just got done teaching last month, I taught my Step Into Your Power mediumship class. And so many gifted students. And the one thing that we taught was there's three things. There's three fears that most of us have stepping into our power. And one of them is what other people think. And one of them is also, too, us being wrong, or us being not enough. And we've got to face those fears, and we've got to know that sometimes we are going to be wrong, and but it doesn't mean we're not enough. We are enough. And we did a circle, a spiritual circle, a mediumship circle. And I could tell that some of my clients, or some of the students, were nervous about some of the information they received, and they didn't understand it. And they were like, well, I just got this, so I'm not really sure how that fits. But when they explained to the circle what they got, everything fit. It made sense. It made sense. But the students doubted themselves when they were explaining their answers or what they were explaining what they got. And you should have seen the change in them, in my students, when they realized what they received from Spirit or the messages that they got were spot on. They were accurate. They were right. And that just shifted. That shifted from the I deserve to the I am. That shifted them. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is real. I can really do this. This is so cool. And it was such an amazing thing to see because it shifts and you are everything. You have everything already inside you. And the shift, and I don't even, like, how many times can I repeat that? But the shift when you realize that you were accurate. Now, who knows? I might go back to, we rescheduled the reading. I offered her a refund, but she said, no, I want to reschedule just because there was some stuff that was on. There was some stuff that was totally on. So, and, you know, I don't mind rescheduling. So, but who knows? Maybe when I talk to her, maybe some of the stuff that we thought wasn't accurate, and I tell my students this all the time, maybe it really was, and she just didn't know. She just didn't know that information, or it just wasn't, she didn't know that information. She didn't, or who it was that came through. So don't always, I mean, I want you to own it. I want you to, reevaluate yourself, see if there's something in you that you need to rehash or if you need to take a break, but also too know that it might not all 100% be you. It could be some other things that, now I'm not saying play the blame game. I'm just saying that look at the whole picture and know that there's so many pieces to this and you're just one. You're one piece, and maybe some of the other pieces weren't 100% on. And I hope that makes sense without, because I don't want to blame anybody. I don't want to have anybody put blame. The last thing we need to do as a person is blame. We need to own our shit and we need to take responsibility of it. But we also need to know that sometimes things are out of our control and we can't control all the things, and that's okay too. And that doesn't mean it's anybody else's fault. It just means that sometimes we can't control all the things, and that we're still good enough, and we're still going to move forward, and we're still going to kick ass. We're still going to kick ass. And so, I didn't have a topic for this week, and I was because I'm trying to find guests. I'm trying to figure out like other things that we can talk about. So if you have ideas, like I want to bring on some guests, other mediums, other Reiki people, other spiritual people that are knowledgeable in other things, because I feel like I feel like maybe you kind of get sick of listening to me all the time. But today, I think that I didn't have a topic. And I feel like what happened yesterday happened because I needed to talk about this, because there are so many of my clients and there's so many of my students, so many people out there that don't feel like they're good enough or scared to step into their power and do struggle with this and do struggle with anxiety. And I just want you to know it is so okay. It is so okay. It is so normal. And when you do feel like this, tap your chest. I want you to tap your chest. I want you to take your fingers, your right hand or your left hand, and tap your chest. And that will help you so much. And I want you to take deep breaths in and deep breaths out and try and do things to get out of your head. Because honestly, take a deep breath and know that you are good enough. And it's going to be okay. And you don't need the glasses and you don't need the map. You just need whatever you have inside of you that leads you in this direction. So I hope that helps you guys. I love you guys so much. Check in the notes and see where Patreon is. And, I do have a Facebook group called the Spunky Tribe, but I really was hoping that was kind of taken over. I was hoping that the community was, because it's kind of, I need to slow down. The Spunky Tribe is kind of crickets. It's not really a lot of people aren't like participating. And so I'm hoping Patreon kind of takes that place, or there's a community that people actually can talk to each other. So to get out of our shells and know that this stuff happens. This stuff happens and we are all there for each other. So hopefully that helps. Look in the links for all those things, for my website, for my Shopify, for my Spunky Spirit store, for Patreon, because big things are coming. Retreats are coming. Classes are coming. I I love that I am booked out for 5 months. I am so grateful for that. But I also want people to be able to have access to teachings and things in other ways. And I really want to grow this podcast to reach people and help them to step into their power and to step into their gifts and to know that they're not crazy. So again, if you could subscribe, like, share, do all the things, I would so totally appreciate that. And I love you guys, and I will talk to you next week.